Merry Christmas from all of us here at Cole Sportz to you. How are you doing? Cole Johnson here, and it is December 25th, one of my favorite days of the year, and I just wanted to just kick it with you a little bit. I mean, I could endlessly talk about quarterbacks, my greatest of all time list in quarterbacks in NBA, in NFL, or players in the NBA, or home run hitters in Major League Baseball, or franchises. Yeah, I could talk about all that. But sometimes you just have to talk about what really is important. And of course, what's important is family. And what this season brings is just that. And it's been tough for all of us. I mean, it's been a real tough year. 2020 has really dealt a wonderful blow, a horrible blow to most of us. And so this has been a year where we can actually take account as to what has been a monumental year, an historic year, and a year that none of us will ever forget. But even with the bad, there's been some really good. I mean, we can think about many different things that took place, even in the sports year over the past 12 months. For example, we saw a person I don't really ever mention on this channel for except one day, but I'll make an exception here. LeBron James winning his fourth championship in his 10th attempt and winning Finals MVP, being the first person to win the award for three different franchises. That was monumental. Another something monumental, we didn't think we would see the divorce of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but we saw that. And Brady is now no longer a Patriot. He now is with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We saw one of our greatest and brightest sports figures that has come across our lives the last 30 years unexpectedly pass away way back in January. And I can tell you when I first heard the news about Kobe Bryant dying in a helicopter crash, I was blown away and mesmerized. I still to this day, and it's now been, in fact, tomorrow will be the 11th month 11-month anniversary of that event. I still didn't believe it. In fact, when my wife read it, I was thinking, well, he couldn't have died from this, but he did. And it was a blow that took a minute for, I think, the whole sports world to really, really lick their wounds from. And that was one Sunday. Then the very next Sunday, we saw one of the most thrilling events take place in seeing the birth of an elite player. Patrick Mahomes, after 3.5 quarters of having a Super Bowl, decides to light things up and throws 2 touchdowns in the last 6.5 minutes of the game and take a 20-10 deficit and they win it 31-20 over the game in tough San Francisco 49ers in Miami. Little did we know that we would see a gathering of 80,000 in a building like that be considered such a distant memory because 2 months later, we couldn't have things such as the Final Four, which normally takes place in April. And before then, we couldn't even see March Madness because remember, when the pandemic really took hold and changed the way we think about life in general, we couldn't attend arenas. We were getting ready to have conference championship tournaments, and they were getting canceled right, left, and center. And it was just amazing to see how All of this was just shaping everything in the sports world. And so we were thinking, wait a minute, if they're just simply canceling conference championships, is there going to be a March Madness? No. Is there going to be even a Final Four? No. Wait a minute, the the beginning of the season in baseball is about to happen. No. And we had something that we never happened in any part of the sports year, whether it's the winter, spring, summer, or fall. And that was for 3 full months, we had no sporting events. 3 full months, April, May, and June, there was not a sporting event that took place. Not a Kentucky Derby, not a big time fight, not even so much as a cricket event. And this was normally the time when you have the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup playoffs take place. And like I said, MLB begins in April, so this would be the time when it normally happens. Spring training was wiped out. They had the pitchers and catchers report because they normally do that in the latter part of February. But when it came to the second week of March, we started to see less and less of those games be played. And so we had to think about things in a much different light. And we had to think about life in a much different way. And it was crazy to think of that. Just crazy to think of how life could be without sports. And we got a chance to taste it. And mind you, I mean, we dealt with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder having their second bout where Wilder got it handed to him by Fury in the 6th round. We saw these events happen, and it was like it seemed like it was another year, but no, it was 2020 when all of this took place. It got to the point where we had to be excited about seeing 250-plus-year-olds fight in Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., and that happened last month. We wanted to have the taste of a big event, a big sporting event, and we really haven't had the taste of that yet since COVID hit. And yes, we've had the Stanley Cup playoffs happen. They decided to be in a bubble in Toronto and Edmonton, and they had their Stanley Cup playoffs, and the Tampa Bay Lightning won 2020 Stanley Cup, and we had the NBA playoffs sequestered in a bubble in Orlando, and many people trying to threaten it, like Lou Williams, after attending a funeral, stopping at Magic City and getting some wings. But both events took place, no COVID-19 outbreaks. The same couldn't be said about Major League Baseball and the NFL and college football. I mean, college football, they didn't even know if they wanted to play or wanted to not play. I mean, the SEC and the ACC were adamant, we're going to play. But the Big Ten and then Big 12 were adamant too. But the Big Ten and the Pac-12, they were like, we're not so sure. In fact, we're not going to play. But then they saw how the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 was getting it in. And then in October, both the Pac-12 and the Big Ten decided, okay, yeah, let's throw our hat in the ring. And the Big Ten decided to have this rule saying that, well, in order for a team to qualify for our championship game, they have to play a minimum of 6 games. Well, Ohio State, which is the best team in the whole 14-team conference, only played 5. And it was done that way when their big-time arch rival, Michigan, decided, well, we couldn't play because we have COVID-19 outbreaks. So the Big Ten decided, okay, well, let's actually bend the rules. We'll allow them in. and now they're in the college football playoff. Oh, before I forget, subscribe to this video and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all things on this channel. Now, I feel remiss, I really do, in not saying that, well, Christmas for me is special because it's a time of reflection and always has been for me. But also, I love the day because it makes me understand how beautiful life is. Now, Thanksgiving is a football day. Well, Christmas is a basketball day. And it used to be we would see nothing but Knicks and Lakers games. I mean, it was a foregone conclusion. And then in the 90s, it was Knicks and Bulls and maybe a spattering of Lakers. Lately, it's been the Lakers and any team that LeBron was on. Now it's just the Lakers and whomever. But no matter what, no matter the matchup, no matter the time, no matter who was playing when, it felt good to see people enjoy themselves and not have to think about the hustle and bustle of the day. They can relax and take part in something that's just special. And when we saw on Thanksgiving with football, that's not really going to be the case when we see these games later on today, because we're going to see, just like Thanksgiving with football, we're going to see empty arenas. We're going to see a sterilized presentation. And it's not the same as it was this time last year. But even with that, it is still all good. Why? Because you're here, I'm here, and we can celebrate what is good. And what is good is life, it is liberty, it is the pursuit of happiness, but most importantly, it is the love that we have for one another and the love that we share for one another. So make me a promise, VIP. Share love. As a sports fan, share love. If you're a Buckeye and you see a Wolverine, or vice versa, or if you're a Cowboys fan and you see a Washington NFL franchise fan, or if you are a Bears fan and you see a Packers fan, share love. Because if 2020 didn't teach us anything else, it should have taught us that life is precious, especially in the world of sports. So from all of us here to all of you, have a Merry Christmas today, tonight, and always from all of us here at Cole Sportz. And if you want to take part of anything that Cole Sportz has to offer, please like this video and share it throughout your social media. Comment below because I want to hear what you have to say, VIP. What you say matters to me. And remember, don't forget, hit that notification bell and subscribe to this channel for any and all content that emanates from it. Well, that's all the time I have. Thank you so much. I hope the rest of your day is as good as the first part of your day has been. I hope you got every gift that you sought. If not, I hope you get the one gift that we all get, and that is the love of life and the joy of life. And don't forget, there will be a sports related video coming from this channel later on the day. I'm Cole Sportz. Cole Johnson here. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, everybody.